Yeah, well, dear friends, let's continue with our discussion. This initially for the first couple of minutes, I'll talk about IT industry, the current trends, and what sort of job opportunities are, in great demand. And is this the right time to learn DevOps? Because there are a lot of things happening in IT right now, right? We are finding AI, would say it's creating a lot of chaos. Developer jobs are at risk. Test engineers jobs are at risk. So which course to learn, and how is it going to impact us? There are a lot of things that everyone's confused with. So being in an IT industry for the past 16 years, I would like to drag few conclusions out of all addressing all those questions. Yeah. So let's continue, team. So yeah, the most highest paying IT jobs of the current times, if we look at, DevOps is one among them. There's no doubt. DevOps and cloud platforms and data related domains, these are always being the highest paid and most in demand skill sets. All right. So some of the areas that in IT we find the highest paying jobs are DevOps, cloud, right, AI, data domains like data science, big data, data analytics, right, data domains. Next, security areas like cyber security, right, cyber security. And if at all we don't want to get into tech but completely out of tech, and we want to sustain, then there is a platform which is digital marketing. Digital marketing, these are the areas now in the IT industry so great in demand. And again, over here, there are scenarios where if we focus learning only one thing, are we going to sustain? Means, again, the answer is no in 2026. In the year 2026, if you learn or if you stick to learn only one particular area in IT, that is not going to work. You should learn, or you got to have a multifaceted skill set. Meaning, let's say, for example, DevOps. If we learn only DevOps, in 2017, 18, 19, during that time, it was working. It works fine. But now, 2026, organizations are expecting us to have DevOps expertise, cloud expertise, and AI expertise. Right? This is the skill set that organizations are expecting. And yeah, we've been finding that DevOps and cloud were taught parallelly. You might have heard about courses like DevOps with AWS, Azure DevOps, GCP DevOps. Combining DevOps and cloud, there came a lot of studies. But now we are in the era where organizations are expecting us to have expertise, not just DevOps and cloud, but also AI. And there is a study team called XOps that is now emerging the most. And what is XOps? XOps is a study, XenOps. XOps is a short for XenOps. XOps is a study where implementing DevOps in all areas of IT, that is XOps. Like, let's say, implementing DevOps in data world. So there came a study called Data Ops, right? Implementing DevOps practices in machine learning. There came a study called ML Ops. Implementing DevOps over finance. There came a study called FinOps. Cloud regulation, cloud spending, all that is managed by Fin team, and that is FinOps. Data Ops, ML Ops, FinOps, implementing security, DevOps practices in security. There came a study called DevSecOps. Right. So this way, in all the fields of IT, now DevOps became an essential team. If you're, let's say, for example, if you're transitioning as a data scientist, not DevOps right now, maybe the future you may have to learn DevOps because it is now becoming an essential. If you're learning, let's say, AI now, artificial intelligence, now there is a study called AI Ops, meaning you performing your AI activities, you need DevOps practices in the study of AI Ops. So this way, now DevOps is one of the most in-demand skill set where organizations are expecting everyone to learn DevOps, not just not just developers or not just operations team. Everyone, data scientists should know DevOps, ML engineers should know DevOps, AI engineers should know DevOps. Everyone should learn DevOps. That is what we are in the current times. Okay, 2026. There is more demand for XOps, where DevOps is acting as a foundation to all these studies. So if you have decided to learn DevOps, I very much appreciate you for taking the right decision at the right time. If not now, definitely tomorrow or the next year, you should learn DevOps. Mark my words, that is definitely guaranteed. And now, team, for example, I mean, let's understand what exactly is DevOps. I'll just give you a quick overview. As a DevOps engineer, what we try to achieve means DevOps is a culture. DevOps is a culture. It's not a tool or it's not a technology. It's a culture that we adapt in software development to software delivery process, software application development to release process. Mostly software companies adapt this approach called DevOps. And what do they try to achieve when adapting DevOps in the software development process? Means they try to achieve a continuous delivery of a software, continuous delivery of a software, ensuring quality and with cost optimization and lesser spending. These are the main goals, or these are the main what say business needs that organizations are trying to achieve with DevOps. Okay, so to keep things simple, team, I'll take some basic examples. We got Nischit here. Nischit, right? Am I pronouncing your name correct? Nischit?
Yeah, Prashanth.
Yeah. So we got Nischit here. Let's say Nischit is into some business. Let's say he owns a store in Chennai, and that store is a digital store, digital products he sell, through a store, and he's performing his operations only from Chennai. But Nischit wants to expand his business and sell products online across the globe. For that, he needs a software or an e-commerce platform. But Nischit is what say having expertise in his niche, which is running a store or selling digital products online like television sets, something like Reliance Digital. He's good at selling products, but he's not having expertise over how e-commerce platforms work and so on. But he's driven by want that he want to run his business across the globe. Now, Nishchit approached me. Let's say I own a software company called Trident. So now, how do I develop an application for Nishchit and fulfill his requirement? What are my responsibilities when I got a client like Nischit? How am I going to develop a software and deliver a software to him? Means these are my priorities, team. Once I get a client, I got to make sure that I deliver a software product to my client faster, continuous delivery. I got to release a quality software to my client. I have to ensure of maintaining a cost optimization. And once I deliver a software to my client, I got to make sure that the application at my client level is always running. These are my responsibilities, goals to fulfill. So how am I going to start this software journey to develop a software and deliver a software to my client? Nischit means any software team, any software development, it always begins off with an approach called software development life cycle. Every software company adapts a SDLC process to develop a software and deliver a software. And of the current times, in the of the current times, companies are adapting an approach called agile SDLC, because there are a lot of software development models available in the market, but we are going by a software development model called agile SDLC. So what is agile SDLC means? In agile software development, what we do is, let's say Nischit, he is expecting in his e-commerce platform some 200 features. He's expecting some 200 features in his software. Now, to develop an entire software satisfying all those 200 features, and deliver a software to my client might take more time for me, like maybe 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. Till that part, until I deliver a software to my client, Nischit is not starting his business, right? So during that 2 3 years of time frame, things might change a lot. Maybe more e-commerce competitors are kicking into the market. So that's where now clients are not waiting or having enough time to wait, or your clients are not expecting an entire software to be delivered to them. They're expecting at least a minimal software so that they can start their business within a short time frame. So for that, what we do is we go by Agile SDLC, breaking down the requirement of the client into multiple snippets. I mean, we don't develop a software in Agile all at once. Instead, we develop and deliver a software to the client in incremental fashion. Meaning, I understand first, I check with my client, what are your priorities? Okay, you said 200 requirements, but initially, what are your priorities to start your business? And Nishchit said, Prashanth, I want to sell initially not home appliances, since I'm into this e-commerce business right away. I want to sell smaller products which are easy to ship. So initially, I want to sell through my platform, let's say USB drives, speakers, right? Initially, I want to experiment with these products, USB drive, speakers, right? Like some minimal components, right? Something like that. Not costly items, not so cheaper items, but items that are minimal, smaller, and easy to ship. So what am I doing? I'm taking those priorities, and I'm going to start what's it, developing that product. Whatever the priorities are of my client, I'm starting that product development. So what we do is, my software organization, we plan the first increment of our client, we write code, we test it, we review it, we test, and then we review, and finally we release that minimal product to the client, which we call it as a minimal viable product, MVP. We are not delivering an entire software, but a very minimal viable product to the client. So that what happens is, the client starts his business with that MVP. The client starts his business with that MVP. And now what's happening is, the client is experimenting with his minimal software, starting his business, so that he gains some insights of what to improve and how to improve his business. At the same time, we as a software company, we are also getting feedback from the client about the behavior of this application. If there are any issues with the application, we offer continuous improvement on that existing software. And at the same time, what we do is, as a software company, we start off working over the second set of priorities of the client. Okay, now let's say Nishchit wants to add some additional content, like Prashant, we're good to sell products like, let's say, mobile phones, mobile accessories, right? Smartwatches, and other devices. So I'm adding those features. Again, we plan, code, test, review, and release that second MVP to the client. Right. So this way, our application development to release is no longer happening one time. Agile software development is all about developing and delivering a software to the client in incremental fashion. So here, team, in this process, remember, developers keep writing code continuously. Test team should test the applications continuously. Likewise, application development to release, it keeps on happening continuously. So there are a lot of activities that happen repetitive in nature here, and we are automating those repetitive tasks by adapting a culture on top of agile software development called DevOps. So if you observe a DevOps logo, just I mean, if you go through the internet and you check for DevOps logo, you find what's a loop, something like this, right? Plan, code, build, test, release, deploy, operate, and monitor. There are 8 stages in DevOps ecosystem. We find there are 8 stages, and it's an infinite symbol, meaning that a software development release is not just a one-time task. It keeps on happening for increment to increment to increment, and this process keeps on repeating over and over and over again, right? Until the last increment is delivered to the client, right? And the application development release is not happening one time. The application at the client level is growing gradually, bigger and bigger, once for every increment delivered to him. And with this approach, what's happening is the client is super happy because he's starting his business within a very short time frame, and he's getting timely, what's say, new features added to his software, and thereby his business is scaling up. And my development team are happy here because they're not under stress to write an entire software at a time. My test team are happy as they're not, writing testing an entire software at a time, but we are developing here in incremental fashion. Yeah, friends. So we implement a pipeline in with DevOps called a CI/CD pipeline, which I'll get in detail in our regular classes. So there are a plethora of what's say activities that we have to perform when developing a software and delivering a software to the client. Okay, only with agile software development, there came a lot of challenges to develop and release a software to the client. So thereby, we went by adapting a sophisticated approach in software development release by calling forth a culture called DevOps and by adapting a pipeline called CI/CD pipeline. And the CI/CD pipeline, what we do is, as there are a lot of repetitive activities that happen, meaning the first increment delivered to the client, the same steps we follow for the second one, the same steps we follow for the third increment, fourth increment, fifth increment, and so on. So since there are a lot of repetitive activities here, what we do is we build the CI/CD pipeline with automation by enabling automations, communication, and collaboration. Right? We enable automations, communications, and collaborations. And as a DevOps engineer, we work with a team called a CFT, cross-functional team, where there are a lot of developers, testers, scrum masters, project managers, product owners, right? Operation teams, and so on. So when we are working with a team, we got to make sure that there is a proper communication enabled between the teams. And as there are a lot of repetitive activities happening here, we got to ensure that there's a proper automation setup. And collaboration, meaning, see friends, here, plan is a different activity, coding is different, building is different, test activities are different. So these are all the different activities which got to integrate with one another, which got to link as chain with one another. And that is nothing but collaboration. And we master the art of setting up a proper collaboration between all these cross-functional teams, and we deliver a product to the client faster. Okay, because DevOps, the goal of DevOps is to fulfill the motive of Agile. And what is the motive of Agile? If you go by a site called Agile Manifesto, here you get the motive of Agile. Yeah, friends, what is the motive of Agile? Our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Meaning, even if I die, I got to make sure that I deliver a product to my client Nischita at any cost. Right? I got to make sure that whatever the promise time and team here, these the breakdown of these different increments we do based on something called a sprint. Every what's a sprint here has a time duration of 2 weeks to 4 weeks. So within the promised time, I got to make sure that I deliver a minimal viable product to my client. So this is my priority. Our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of a valuable software. And also see here, deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to months within a preference to the shorter time scale. If the client wants any changes in his software, we got to adapt those changes and build an application according to the requirement of the client. So this way, there are a lot of rules or principles that we have to adapt when we're going by a software development model called Agile, right? And that Agile motive we fulfill by adapting a culture in Agile called DevOps. Yeah, friends, this is all one part of the story. Me developing a software and delivering a software to my client. The next part of the story is here. In order to perform all these project activities, I need infrastructure. I need infra, I need tools, right? I need employees, right? So now how do I plan, all these infrastructure, tools and employees? But let's say Nishchit invested 20 lakhs for his software. Now me as a software company Trident, what is my goal? Why did I set up a company? Anyone, just ask yourself, any business, when they set up, with what motive do they set up a business? To do profits, right? To do profits. So now when let's say Nishchit invested 20 lakhs, if I spend all 20 lakhs for his software, am I making profit? No. All the investment of the client, if it's getting into his project only, I'm not getting benefited at all. So what should I do? I got to make sure I spend less. I mean, out of his investment, I got to spend less so that I gain more profits. Meaning, when I set up infrastructure, tools, and when I hire my employees for this project, I got to make sure that I spend lesser. So for that team, or cost optimize, I got to optimize my cost factor. And how do I do that? Means now we are doing that by relying on open source tools. Open source tools meaning they are free, you don't need to pay for them. We are relying on cloud platforms, meaning you don't need any physical office, you don't need any infrastructure, you don't need any physical servers, nothing. You're relying on the cloud. And maybe, let's say, coming to the employees part, I'll rely on AI, a person with AI knowledge. He can manage to do, let's say, a job of 5 people. Now that is how companies are calculating, and they are spending they're spending lesser and making profits. Why companies are hiring AI engineers the most, or employees with AI knowledge the most? Because they can do things way much better and faster when compared to some employee who is following a traditional or manual approach. So to build cost effective solutions, what am I doing as a software company? I'm spending on the infrastructure lesser with the cloud, tools, relying on open source tools, and employment, I'm relying on AI tools and reducing my number of employees. So this way, when I'm reducing the cost factor for this project, I'm definitely getting benefited. Let's say if I spent overall of let's say some 12 lakhs, 8 lakhs is my profit. If I spend 8 lakhs, 12 lakhs is my profit. So this way, team, organizations, we got to benefit our organizations by spending lesser, and that's where organizations are also expecting us to have cloud expertise. And finally, reduced outage. What does this mean? Reduced outage meaning once you develop and deliver a software to the client team, what does the client expect? Yeah, what does the client expect if this is the application that you deliver to the client? What is he expecting? Let's say you purchase the product from online. What do you expect? Let's say mobile phone. You expect a decent behavior, right? You expect performance. You expect no challenge with your mobile phone, right? What if the mobile phone is lagging? What if the mobile phone is not working fine? You immediately reject it and ask for a replacement or whatever. Similarly, now a client is investing all his hard-earned money, 20 lakhs, and we delivered a software to him. What does he expect? He expects his application to run all the time. Client's expectation is always zero downtime. Zero downtime, meaning his application should run all the time. But is it possible for a software company to offer or to promise a client zero downtime? The answer is no. No. Yeah, friends, because see, we all using applications like PhonePe, right? PhonePe, Paytm, Google Pay. Are we not experiencing downtime with these applications? At times when you have to pay something, you find PhonePe application failing. Then what you do, you immediately switch to Paytm or Google Pay and get your transaction done. Now, this is Nishchit's e-commerce platform, right? And if Nishchit's e-commerce platform is dead, Now all his customers are taking a D route towards, let's say, Reliance Digital, RelianceDigital.com, or maybe Corona.com, or maybe, let's say, TataClick.com. Or they have a lot of options. End users always got a lot of options available. So thereby what's happening, even though they shop a few things on Nishchit's e-commerce platform, when his platform is dead, no end user is loyal to any business. They switch to different platforms. Okay, that is fine, but some users might leave bad reviews. And if that is the case, what happens? Nishchit's application might lose prominence, and even later, when his application, let's say, at a later point of time, if it's working fine, also the impact that gets created on his platform is never again replaced back. Like, let's say, Tim, for example, back then when I was in Dubai, I used to shop things for my sisters, and the platform that I used to go by is a Tata Click platform. This one. But guess what? If anyone asks, what are the platforms that are very much popular in India, we get Amazon and Flipkart. These are the two platforms that, all of us, we say, what are the two renowned platforms in India for e-commerce? And Amazon and Flipkart. No, nowhere we find people saying Tata Click. Why is that? Means I had a terrible experience with this platform back then. Once you add all the items to the shopping cart, and once you go and try to pay, what happens is the platform rolls back to the excuse me, the platform again roll back to the earlier state, to the very login, sorry, to the very login page. Again, I should log in. When I log in, I don't find the items in the cart. Again, I should add all the items to the cart and jump to the end. And at the time of payment, the application used to fail. And again, taken back to the login page. So thereby, what happened? Me as a frustrated customer, I never visited this page anymore. So later, the platform is doing really well, but still, even today, we are saying Amazon, Flipkart are the best platforms in India. Right. So that way, team. Now, businesses when they start, the owners of the businesses always expect their applications to run all the time. But at the same time, software companies cannot guarantee zero downtime. Applications fail for n number of reasons. N number of reasons, team. Like, let's say, for example, Nischit announced a sale over his e-commerce platform saying that a flat 50% off on MRP. Now, if there's a Bluetooth speaker that is 20,000, now it's getting, his platform is offering only for 10,000. And what's happening? A lot of traffic to his platform, and that traffic impacted the server over here, and the server got crashed, and his platform is dead. Now there is a downtime. So how do we address such challenges and ensure that we offer reduced outage? I'm using the term reduced outage, not zero downtime. How do we offer reduced outage on the application of the client so that the application of the client, if it's at risk, we jump in and bring the application of the client back to running state? How do we do that? Means by enabling the last ultimate stage in DevOps called monitoring. Yeah, we add something called monitoring, and what we do, we continuously monitor the applications of our client and ensure that we take some right decisions at the right time and ensure that the applications at the client level are always running. Even though there is a downtime, what we do is we try to fix the issue and bring the application of the client back to running state. With a lot of different studies like auto scaling, load balancing, disaster recovery, rolling updates, rollbacks, etc., etc. Yeah, friends. So DevOps is all about us managing an entire application development to release path. Speed up the process that's involved in software development to release by adding automations, communications, collaborations in an entire software development to release. And we manage that with a pipeline called CI/CD pipeline. And that is one part of the story. Second part of the story is we got to ensure that the applications that we deliver to the client are always running. Yep. So how do we ensure that an application is always running? Means yeah, we got to make sure. Let's say, for example, I deployed an application today over AWS cloud. Let me check once. Yeah, friends. So I deployed an application this morning in AWS cloud, and I got to make sure that my server is always running in order to make my application always available. Yeah, so for that, I got to keep an eye on the infrastructure that is running over here. Let's say this is server one. If I take this public IP, colon 7070, we find an e-commerce platform up and running. In order to make this e-commerce always available to my end user, what should I
Sorry to
do? Right?
disturb. Are you sharing screen, Prashanth?
Yeah.
Uh, okay, I'm not able to see this.
Oh my goodness. Right from the beginning, it's not visible to you?
Just
Now it's
now we are able to see.
No, no. Right from the beginning, it's not visible to you. I did not share the screen.
No, no. In from beginning it was not. Just now we are able to see.
Oh my bad. Oh my goodness, team. Sorry, I was actually in a night shift. My bad. I've been explaining like a fool. All the concepts here, drawing, writing things. Oh God. My goodness. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Well, if things did not make sense to you, I'll talk to Shiba once and we'll try to rearrange this call. But did anything make sense to you, whatever I discussed so far?
Yeah, we got some.
We got
yeah,
the concept.
we got the concept.
My bad, team. I'm
We,
really sorry for that. I I've been writing a lot here, and I thought you are all what say keenly observing everything. That's where you're quiet, and I kept moving. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. Yeah, friends. So remember, DevOps engineer, as a DevOps engineer, our goal is to ensure that we release a software to the client faster, ensuring quality, and we speed up the process. Let me walk you through some slides. Continuous delivery, ensuring higher quality with cost optimization of lesser spending and reduced outages. These are the four goals that we try to fulfill. Okay. Back in the past, organizations used to follow a traditional approach of developing an entire software at a time and delivering the whole software to the client at a time. But now we're going by agile, where we understand the priorities of the client. Let's say out of some requirements of the client, we're picking some priorities, we plan, write, code, test, review, and deliver that minimal viable product to the client. And the client starts his business with that. And if there are any challenges, we fix those issues and we start off working on the new set of priorities and release the software to the client this way. And in this process, there are challenges as there are multiple teams involved, like developers, test teams, build release managers. There are a lot of teams in Agile. And earlier, there was no proper connection between them. Thereby, we were unable to release the software to the client faster. And to address those challenges, we came up with a solution, DevOps. Companies started adapting DevOps culture by automating an entire process of software application development to release with DevOps. Okay, developers write code. After that, we build, we deploy the application to test environment, and we plan a release, deploy, operate, and we monitor the applications. Now, let's say if I delivered this application to my client, an e-commerce platform to my client, I got to ensure that the application of my client is always running. So for that, what we do, we enable monitoring over the application and we ensure that this application is always running. If at all there are challenges, we add some solutions and ensure that application has a reduced outage, not zero downtime, because zero downtime is very challenging to achieve. Okay. Yeah, friends. So if you got any questions, yeah, please feel free to ask me your questions. And yeah, I'm glad to address your questions.
I just wanted to know, like, which
Yeah.
concepts we are going to cover in this course or this particular thing.
Well, we cover first the basic prerequisite to get started off with DevOps is you should know Linux concepts, shell scripting, and networking basics. Okay, we got to know Linux.
Okay.
So we begin off with Linux, shell, and networking basics. Followed by that, we dive into tools like Git, a version controlling tool, and GitHub. Followed by that, we start off learning CI tools like Maven, Nexus, Tomcat, SonarCube, Jenkins, and container tools like Docker, Kubernetes. Followed by that, infrastructure automation tools like Terraform, OpenTofu, and configuration management tool, Ansible. Monitoring tools, Prometheus, Grafana, and Datadog. Right? There are around some 14 plus tools that we cover. And all these tools are configured over AWS Cloud. And we perform DevOps activities over the tools, open source tools with AWS Cloud. And also, we integrate, we enable AI so that
Okay.
we take advantage of AI too and transition ourselves as a full-fledged DevOps cloud engineer with AI.
Okay.
Okay,
Like for
you can get it.
which, yeah,
Yeah.
I got it. I just wanted like for which particular things we might go use the AI here. Are we going to
Oh,
automate the overall things, or how on top of all the tools we are managing AI to monitor that, or how we are going
yeah.
to utilize it?
No AI tool is yet created for a complete DevOps automation.
Yes, I know.
So no automation entire end to end with AI. But what we do is
Mm.
first I'll teach you the tools and the concepts. But instead of us writing content from scratch, let's say I were to write a Docker file. I'll teach you how to write a Docker file, but later when we implement in our projects, what we do is we rely on GitHub Copilot,
Okay.
and we just mention we need what's a Docker file for some configuration, and it does generate code for us. Likewise, get me a complete end-to-end manifest or a module or a Terraform module to create infrastructure in the cloud. And you mention all your required infrastructure, and accordingly, the AI tool generates all the infrastructure for you. Likewise, if you want architecture diagrams, we rely on tools like, let's say, eraser.io, and we just write a prompt over here, and then a complete architecture diagram meeting your requirement gets created by the AI tool. Rather, let's say, back in the past, we used to go by, let's say, draw.io and draw these manually. But now, to save time and to do things better and to stay ahead of the top, we rely on such AI tools. Documentation, again, back in the past, we were writing documents manually, markdown files and everything. But now we rely on AI and get the documentation generated with ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and there are a lot of other AI platforms available. With those tools, we keep doing things. Okay, even
Okay.
you want to what say apply for jobs, you want to run your resumes. Even that
Mhm.
part, what we do, let's say Vishnu DevOps 2026.github.io, building your portfolio to what say to get your resume validated. What we do, we go by creating what say resumes too online. I mean, as repositories. So I think somewhere here. This morning team just in one of the session I explained them. Just a minute. Yeah, see here, such a way. It just just by writing a simple prompt, creating your own resume websites and making them ATS friendly. So for such activities, we rely on AI. Okay, writing Terraform scripts, Ansible playbooks, Kubernetes manifests, and generating prompts for creating infrastructure over the cloud, right? Setting up documentation, and also to create your resumes and to ensure that what's a to set up your own posts on a daily basis to optimize your LinkedIn. These are
Mhm.
the areas I'll be teaching you generative AI concepts, some of the Gen AI concepts.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So this course will be of how many days or months?
Mostly it completes in 2 months or 2.5 months. What say to say honest, safer note, 2.5 months of time for sure.
Okay. Like only a single session or how it will be?
Sorry, only the.
Like per day, a single session or how it will be like how we are
Yeah,
managing theoretical and practical
every day
things.
we have classes happening for 90 minutes,
Okay, 1.5 hours.
and 1.5 hour, and followed by that, at times you have sessions happening the weekends. Monday through
Mhm.
Friday we have classes, and Saturdays you are going to practice. Sunday is a
Okay.
complete week off.
So practical thing will be taken care on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you practice and your
Oh, in the sense.
questions,
Okay.
your doubts during your practice, I'll address them during the
Okay.
weekends. Of course, weekdays too, but weekends are totally dedicated to you.
Okay. Fine. Okay. See. Okay. Then thank you. We got the things clarity.
And once again, guys, I'm so sorry. I did not find that the screen is not shared.
Yeah. No issue.
If at
We
all there's
got
any
the.
demo conducted again, I'll make sure of adding you there. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Fine, friends. All right then. I'll see you in the
Fine.
next one.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.